One big problem with using language models for coding is that there's just a lot of documentation out there and they aren't always up to date. The language models can't remember all the documentation they need to. In this case over here, the developer on the right is trying to create an account with Snowflake using their Python API. So on the right hand side, we can see that they're trying to call this function with a number of parameters. And the function that they're calling is this big function on the left hand side over here. And as you can see, it just has very, very many parameters. One of the parameters here on the left hand side is events account with an S. Now the developer on the right made a mistake and they wrote is event account without an S. And so their code isn't going to run. And they're going to ask Claude to fix it for them. So if we try to do that, unfortunately, Claude isn't going to be able to do it. And the reason is that there's just too much to remember. Even a very big model, like the latest Claude 3.7, isn't able to find these subtle mistakes without access to a search engine. Now that's what we're trying to make. We're making a search engine that Claude can reference that will allow it to find this documentation on the fly. And using this documentation, it is going to be able to notice that minor spelling mistake. As you can see on the right hand side, it just isn't able to find it. So instead it comes up with a different solution to try to rewrite all the code in SQL, which isn't what you want to do. Now I've restarted Claude and given it access to our MCP server with the search engine. So I'm going to run the exact same query again, and we're going to see that it's going to work a little bit differently this time. First, Claude is going to ask for permission to use the search engine. So the first time it does this, we have to give it permission. And now it's going to run a search query. It's going to run a search query for the documentation. That's what it's doing over here inside these boxes. So if we open one up, we can see it's running the search query, and then the text that it gets back is the text that our search engine provides. We return a simple text string instead of just a link. And this is the documentation that Claude requires. And using this, it's going to go down here and sees that is event account should have an S, and it fixes it. It has is events account with an S instead of is event account like in the original code over here. Now that's the advantage of having a coding documentation search engine. In that normal search engine returns a list of links, and because it searches the entire internet, it's a lot harder to get accurate, quick coding docs. But our search engine is focused only on coding, and because of that, it can be very fast and return only high quality, information dense text results, which allows you to make these types of queries, which don't require a lot of intelligence or a lot of thinking. It just requires access to the correct information. So that's what we do. We provide information that allows these models to work a lot better.